train cut across the Carpathian night like a blade. Its black iron frame groaned with age, as if it remembered too well what it once carried. Beneath an endless sky, veiled in clouds, it screamed across the rails towards some unseen fate. Within, the air was velvet and blood. In the business car, crimson leather and brass fittings flickered in dim lamplight. The table was laid with crystal and silver, but no one touched the wine. Two kings of men faced one another, flanked by their soldiers, their wolves. To the left sat Viktor Vashnev, draped in charcoal silk and wolf pelts. His pale face carved from stone, a jagged scar split his mouth in a cruel smile. The Black Wolf of Bucharest, they called him, a man who once fed a rival his own brother's heart. Opposite him sat Roman Dre, known as the Bone Collector of Varna, in a white suit, stained with raindrops and blood. His cane lay across his lap like a sword. He hadn't spoken until now. Viktor leaned forward, voice low and serpentine. "This land owes me its silence. I buried it in corpses before I could speak. Death has known me since my cradle." Roman replied, tapping his cane. "Death follows me not out of fear, but devotion. I've sent more souls than priests have prayers. It is I who should lead." The growl of disagreement rippled through the room like thunder. Guns were not drawn, but hands hovered near them. The gang members watched each other like wolves at the brink of famine. In the corner, hunched in shadow, sat a third figure, ancient robes, skin stretched too tightly over bone. The occultist, they called him, eyes like polished coal. He leaned forward, voice a rasp that crawled into every ear. "You speak of death as if he is blind and loyal. He is neither. He is not yours. You speak of favour. But death does not bargain. Death watches. And when the cycle calls, he walks." The train howled against the mountain pass. Viktor scoffed. "Old words from an old man." Roman smirked. "Let him speak. His riddles amuse me." But the cultist did not smile. "You sit on thrones of bones, bragging of his affection, but he has no favourites, only debtors, and when he comes, you do not know you are chosen until it is far, far too late." A sudden flicker of lights, a brief shudder beneath their feet. Far at the rear of the train, a door creaked open, though none had touched it. A gust of air followed, ice cold and reeking of forgotten graves. No one noticed, not yet. But death had boarded the train. Outside, the world was white with wrath. The train hurtled across a frozen mountain pass, wheels shrieking against the steel. Snow howled against the windows, and distant trees, bent like dying things, watched the beast of iron cut through the storm. Inside the business car, the fire of ego burned hot. Viktor Vashnev leaned forward, lips curling into a savage grin. "You speak of leadership as if it is earned with words. No, Roman. Power is obedience. Power is fear." He turned to his side. A line of suited men, cold, disciplined, killers all, stood behind him. Viktor pointed to one, a broad-shouldered man with eyes like dead coals. "This man is nothing, yet everything. He is my hand, my will." Viktor clicked his fingers. The man moved without hesitation. He walked to the train's rear exit, slid back the iron bolt, and opened the door. A hurricane of snow screamed in. Without a pause, the man turned and stepped into the storm. No scream, no question, just disappearance into the white void. Viktor exhaled calmly, then smiled. "You see, life and death Bend to me." Roman Dre was still. Then a soft chuckle escaped his lips. He leaned back and removed his gloves, revealing pale hands adorned with rings of bone and gold. "The difference between us, Victor, is that I do not ask for death. I command it." He looked to his own guards. "Milos." Without hesitation, one of Roman's men raised a pistol to the head of the man beside him and pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed like a church bell through the car. Blood splattered across velvet seats. The man collapsed, dead before he could fall. Roman stared Victor in the eye. "I am not followed because I demand loyalty. I am followed because I am Death's voice, his executioner." A heavy silence followed, like the breath before a landslide. From the corner, the cultist shifted in his seat. His voice rasped like leaves in a crypt. "You jest, you posture, you dance on the edge of a blade, but the cycle does not take kindly to blasphemy." Roman scoffed. "Oh, fool, this train is paid for in gold and blood. Let him come, your so-called keeper of the cycle. We are ready." But the cultist did not reply. He simply looked towards the rear of the train. His ancient eyes, black and hollow, watched the corridor as the lamps above flickered. In a distant car. Something opened the door. Something tall. Something silent. No footsteps were heard, only a shift in pressure, a wave of cold. A shadow, vaguely human yet wrong in shape, moved into the next car, slowly, without urgency, as though it had been walking this path since time began. Death was coming, and it did not knock. The train wailed through a frozen gorge, its wheels screaming against ancient iron rails. Snow smothered the world outside, but inside, the real storm had just begun. In car 6, a body slumped against a luggage rack. The pale, lifeless face of Roman's man, Goran, stared into the abyss of death. His skin was drained, lips blue. But what froze everyone's blood, what silenced even the sneering killers, was his neck. 2 punctures. Perfect. Precise. Dry. Not a drop of blood remained. The business car erupted in shouts. Roman roared, rising from his leather chair like a beast uncaged. "You poisoned this truce. You think I wouldn't notice you creeping rats in the dark?" Victor surged up in reply. "Your man is dead, not mine. You fear what you can't control, so you kill your own." Then a shout from another car. "Boss! Boss!" Another body. One of Victor's this time, Mikhail, his driver and enforcer, found sprawled over a stairwell, bloodless, limp like a puppet without strings, identical marks on his throat. Now both kings had been wounded. The cultist stepped forward. His voice was calm, too calm. "Look closely. These are not wounds from steel or powder. No bullet, no blade. These are the signs of the cycle." He turned his gaunt face towards Roman and Victor, eyes glinting like wet stone. "You tempted death. You called him. And now he walks among us." Roman sneered. "Old fool! I am death. I am the black hand that squeezes the world. I take lives." Victor slammed his fist into the table. You're a thug with a silver tongue. I own cities. I bend politicians like wheat. I am feared from Berlin to Baghdad." Then it came. A gunshot. Distant. Sharp. Then a scream. Not just pain. Terror. Then silence. All eyes turned to the corridor. The cultist raised his hand. Trembling now. "You called him. And he has answered. You broke the seal of peace. And the cycle has begun again." The train groaned on. Wood creaked. Metal hissed. Roman and Victor both drew weapons. They shouted, accusing, spitting blame, each more furious than the other. "You set this up, Victor." "Me? It's your blood ritual cultist trash that opened a door." They circled like rabid dogs, gang members gripping their guns, twitching, ready to fire. "You think you're feared?" Victor hissed. "Then why do you look so pale?" "Because something worse than us is coming," Roman whispered. They were right, but they would be wrong about who would survive the night. The train howled into the night like a wounded beast, its long steel spine writhing through the mountains of Eastern Europe. Wind screamed across the windows. Tension thickened inside the business car, where paranoia now clung to every breath. Roman raised his hand. "Wait." He turned slowly, eyes locked on the cultist. "This one, he speaks of death too easily, as if he knows something." Victor followed the glare. "You've been muttering your riddles since we boarded. You speak like you've already seen the end." The cultist tilted his head. Shadows flickered over his face as candlelight danced. "You think I fear death?" "No, I await him." Victor spat on the floor. "Enough riddles. Speak plainly." The cultist's voice remained even, deliberate. "You cling to thrones made of sand and bullets, pretending to be gods. But death is God, the only one. He waits for all of us. You fight like insects over scraps, thinking you matter, but you don't. Not to him." Roman snarled. "You're mad." "Am I?" The cultist whispered. "Who is madder? Those who run from the inevitable, or the one who walks toward it willingly?" He looked at them both, eyes dark and alive with something ancient. "Death is not an enemy. He is the final truth, the only thing no man can bribe, threaten or kill, the only thing in this world that never lies." A silence fell. Then Victor barked out a dry laugh. "He's a lunatic." He turned to two of his men, brutes built like temple columns. "Break him. If he knows anything about what's killing my men, tear it from him. Kill him if you have to." Roman added quietly, "In the meantime, we prepare. Whatever's on this train, it's not of this world." The two leaders locked eyes. Neither trusted the other, but for now, something worse than betrayal stalked the rails. In the corner, the cultist whispered to himself as the brutes advanced. "You fools, he walks among you already, and you invited him in." The thuds of fists on flesh echoed wetly through the train car. The cultist dropped to his knees, blood seeping from his mouth. He did not scream, he only whispered, "I am ready to complete my cycle, master." The beating stopped. A silence. Not peace, never that. Only a breath held by the world. Victor turned away from the bloodied man and stared at the steel door that led to the next car. Roman did the same. Their men lined up behind crates and overturned furniture, weapons locked and trembling in their hands. Then the lights went out. Total blackness swallowed the cabin. The thrum of the train below suddenly felt like a heartbeat. Blam! A gunshot burst. Another. Muzzles flashed like lightning in a storm. "Hold your fire," Victor growled. "Save it." His voice cut through the dark like a blade. "Nothing opens that door. You see movement. You hit it with everything." Roman glanced at him through the dark, just a faint silhouette. "Like Budapest?" Victor grinned, teeth white in the dark. "Like Budapest." Then, creak. The door began to open. just a sliver. Cold air flooded in. Without a command, gunfire exploded, the train car igniting in flashes of flame and smoke, and in those flashes they saw it. A tall, impossibly black silhouette standing in the doorway. Not black like shadow, but black like absence, as though the world itself was being devoured around its form. It didn't walk. It drifted forward, the light bending toward it like it hungered for illumination. Then, darkness. A scream. A body hit the wall. A second scream, cut off by a gurgle. Footsteps. Running. Then abruptly stopped. Someone yelled, "It's not human!" Then nothing. Only the sound of bodies hitting steel. One by one, Victor and Roman's men fell, executed like cattle by an unseen predator, until only 3 remained. Victor, Roman,
and the cultist, now slumped against the wall, barely breathing, but alive.
The door was still open, and something stood just beyond it. The train screamed through the dark, carving its path across a snow-choked mountain pass. Steam hissed from the underbelly like breath from a dying beast. Inside, the shadow moved forward, silent as nightfall, drawn towards the final car, like death itself was arriving for an appointment. It passed the cultist, bloody, broken, yet kneeling in reverence. He looked up through crimson-soaked lashes and whispered, "I thank you, Master, for I'm ending my cycle." The shadow paused. A voice not of this world spoke, low, ancient, eternal. "Your cycle has not yet ended." The cultist gasped, not in fear, but awe. The being moved on. At the end of the car, 2 men waited, once called kings, now kings of nothing. They stood surrounded by the remains of their empire, blood, spent shells and silence. Roman raised his weapon, hands trembling, voice rising into madness. "I am the one who commands death." He fired. The bullet passed through shadow. There was no recoil, no sound of impact, only stillness. Victor stepped forward, lips curled in grim defiance. He pulled a blade from his belt, cold, iron, and old. "If you are death, then you'll have to fight for this one." The shadow paused. A face emerged from the void. Skeletal, regal, inhumanly calm, eyes like crimson galaxies opened. Sythras had arrived. He did not shout. He did not threaten. He simply spoke, and the train seemed to groan in recognition. "You believed you controlled the cycle. That death bowed to you, that fate was yours to shape. But the cycle cannot be controlled, manipulated, or changed. It simply is, and I am its servant." In a blink, the 2 men fell. No screams, no struggle, just silence. 2 bodies at the feet of death. Sythras turned to the cultist. "Your time will come, but for now, the cycle is sated." Then the engine roared. Steam poured from every crack. Smoke choked the night. And inside the control cabin, Sythras stood, his towering form at the helm, gripping the throttle as snow whipped past the windows in blinding sheets. No conductor, no whistle, just the god of shadow driving his steel beast toward the end. The next day. And in breaking news, a tragic collision last night as a train derailed along the Eastern Pass. On board were 2 prominent businessmen, reportedly in negotiation over a merger. Both were killed, along with several guards. Only 1 man survived, a religious recluse in critical condition. Authorities are investigating. The broadcast ends. Somewhere in shadow. The cycle turns. End.